Hey, this is the Well Advice Channel too. What I want to talk about today is a topic of why black people should stop blaming themselves for everything. So for this video, I'll explain in a simple and straightforward way why black people should not be as critical of themselves as they are, and not only explain why we should not be as critical of ourselves as we are, but also what we can actually do in the first place so we don't have to be critical of ourselves. And that is all I have to say for my intro. So now I mentioned that, let's get started. So when it comes to the topic of why black people should not be critical of themselves, as in our society we tend to be critiqued for everything, especially if we're not perfect. The simple answer to that question is it simply comes down to first and foremost, the world in general is a mess. And the world, guess what, is run by white people. So if you live in a world that in the first place is a mess, especially when you have all the issues that the world's facing, like global warming, where it's already been estimated that like 90% of all animal, plant species, and so on and so forth is going to be like extinct by 2100, shit like that. And even the fact of obviously like where are people going to live due to rising sea levels, the extra heat, and just the fact that it's going to screw up our planet permanently, global warming, you know. Um, and guess what? The world is run by guess who? White people. Then why should us black people be critical of ourselves as highly as we are critical of ourselves? Because the truth of the matter is, in general, as anyone who's truly free thinking and enlightened and has realized something about reality and about humans in general, regardless of race, is humans in general are notorious for screwing everything up. Everything from issues like global warming to even how enjoyable our lives actually are on a societal level, yet we're the most powerful species on the planet. Yet it probably doesn't take much measurement to show that animals are probably not much, not much, and if anything, more happier on average than we are, you know, which is quite amazing because look at how much power humans have. When you take things like that into consideration, especially when you realize how many stupid rules human beings come up with, let alone every issue that we've had throughout the past 10,000 plus years we've had of civilization. The truth of the matter is it quickly becomes clear that humans in general, regardless of race and regardless of region, are masters at fucking everything up. Okay? Regardless of it. And if anything, the more intelligent, enlightened groups, so called, when it comes to enlightenment, like white Europeans, East Asians, like Chinese, Japanese, because they're so much more educated, seem to be even better at fucking everything up for the world and everything that exists for that matter on it, for not only humans, but for every other non-human being that has exists on the planet. Truth of the matter, to sum it up, humans in general fuck up everything, regardless of race, okay? And if anything, of groups of people that are more powerful because they're more educated and so on and so forth are just better able at screwing up things than even people like black people who don't even have that much power when you really look at it in the end of the day, whether it could be issues like global warming, environment depletion, you know, um, the threat of the end of the world because, of course, nuclear weapons and all that type of stuff. Black people don't have that power. We don't have that power at all for shit. But at the same time, we get so much hate and blame for everything. Because the truth of the matter is, the most a black person could ever freaking do in the world, when you really look at it in the end of the day, that could really piss you off, especially if you're a white person and you live in a decent economic neighborhood that obviously has good police surveillance and so on and so forth, because of course, let's be honest, according to police, that those are areas people actually care about, so they're going to put more effort into making sure there's no crime there for obvious reasons, because of course racism. The truth of the matter is, the most when you live a black person could ever do to you at the very most, let's be honest, realistically speaking, is just simply, is simply stealing your bike, or maybe just simply, you know, maybe having one situation where they steal something from you, or maybe an attempted car theft or something that obviously failed, because most of those type of situations that happen, they tend to fail, whatever, okay? Like obviously these are still pretty big things, but when you compare it to the other issues I mentioned that obviously have much more impact, it becomes clear as freaking day that these things black people can do to other races of people at the most is quite minuscule compared to the things they themselves are doing that could literally screw up the planet. Everything from global warming to us possibly running out of resources to even us having nuclear weapons. These are things that are way more important and relevant than a black person stealing your bike or some petty shit like that, you know? So, in short, that is why us as black people are going to have to stop blaming ourselves and being so critical of ourselves for everything. Because the world in general is run by uh, pretty much Europeans and East Asians, and specifically, let's be honest, white people, Europeans, people of European descent, whether in Europe or, of course, America. So the truth of the matter is, for that matter, okay, when you look at things like that and you see the state of the world, why should we feel so bad about ourselves? These are way bigger issues and way more important. The three issues I mentioned just previously than all the issues we black people could ever do. And that's why us black people need to stop being so critical of ourselves. It doesn't look good. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. Because to simply put it, in the end of the day, to put it bluntly, when you compare it to all the other issues the world has, especially when you take into consideration the black people who tend to do this stuff, are a small percentage of the black population, it becomes clear as day. Yeah, there is much bigger issues to focus on, and of course, secondly, take in consideration that humans in general, regardless of race, we kind of in general suck, regardless of race, whether we like to admit it or not. We kind of suck and we kind of fuck up everything, even when you don't take, um, you know, uh, the group everyone likes to hate on, black people, into, um, obviously into consideration, and that's the truth. So now, aside from talking about my opinions about why black people shouldn't blame themselves for everything, the second question is, what can we do to at least improve our community? For that matter. Well, the simple answer to that question is it simply comes down to most black issues is simply down to the fact that black people are horrible at create sorry my bad at creating jobs and being at creating their own businesses and stuff. And for that matter, most of those issues are actually really easy to deal with. One of the first ones, obviously, is showing up on time to things. That is the first thing people obviously who are black, of course, need to start doing. When we run our businesses, to show up on time to things, be organized. Like, okay, you're gonna, fix up someone's house. Okay, are you actually, of course, gonna have the things that we need to actually fix the house and stuff? And are you actually gonna do a job when you do it? And also, thirdly, also, of course, not overcharging. This is what I hear about all the fucking time. Overcharging, 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 overcharging. Like, that specific issue, which obviously you can obviously resolve that issue if you're price matching. You're looking at your competition and obviously making sure that you can, of course, charge things at a reasonable price and even find ways to cut corners. Even if it lowers the quality maybe of the things you're using a little bit, you can still always find ways to price match. And obviously in the in the end of the day, if you're part of a group of people that are the most discriminated against on the face of the world, even if you have to sacrifice quality in one way or the other, even for something like, when it comes to something like food, like how premium or high quality is a chicken or something that you're using, the truth of the matter is you will realize quickly that obviously, there's still going to be people who are going to be willing to buy things from you. So we can at least build up our community and do a lot better. And that's all we need to focus on. Because the truth of the matter is, to some of my point on the video, humanity in general is a freaking train wreck. We in general, regardless of race, fuck up everything and screw everything up to be more exact, you know. So to blame, so for us as black people to be critical of ourselves for a world that seems like it's on the verge of a collapse anyway is stupid and silly and doesn't make any sense. All we need to do is just, you know, do our best to obviously improve our to work on the bad habits people in our community have so we can obviously live better and more comfortable lives compared to you know, to how we live now. And that's pretty much all I have to say for a world that we don't even know if it's still going to exist in the next 100 years. So, anyway, this is my video. I hope you found it entertaining. And just remember, if you like this video and videos like this, remember to thumbs this video up and hit the subscribe button. And this is all I have to say. And simply put it on mouth. So, bye.